In today's episode, we're going to do 3 different DIY home decor projects all in one video. And each of these projects uses very inexpensive materials that you likely already have laying around your garage. So let's go check it out. For my first project, I wanted to make some really nice blackout curtains for our bedroom. Now, I actually bought these online and they were like 20 bucks a panel. But if you don't want to spend any money, you can easily make your own curtains by using some inexpensive material that you find at a fabric store. To make the curtains, you're also going to need some curtain wire and some clips to hold the curtains back. But before you do anything, you need to measure the length and width of your window. Once you know what size you need, you can now cut your material. For my next step, I took the existing curtain panels that I had and I used those as a template and traced all over them. This is going to make sure that both sides are even. After tracing, I now have my lines to cut along. So just take your scissors and cut them out. And once you're done, you can hem the bottom of the curtains by simply folding it over twice and then sewing it down with a straight stitch. And you'd be welcome to sew all the way around the edges, or you can just do the bottom like I did. Next up, you're going to need to attach the curtain wire. And you can do this by simply measuring about an inch from the top of the curtain and marking it off. Then drill a hole at each end and feed the curtain rod through. Lastly, take your curtain clips and install them. And I am using these ones because they can clip onto the curtain wire and they can also clip onto the back of the curtain to hold it open. And here's what our curtains look like once they're installed. And I love how they turned out. Now moving on to project No. 2, and that is to make some cool coasters out of craft beer. Now, this is actually a really fun project, and that's great if you enjoy drinking craft beer and you hate throwing away the packaging. For my first step, I took all of the beer that I had and I arranged them in a pattern that I liked. And you can use any type of beer that you'd like, but just know that the darker beers will stain a little bit. Next up, you're going to need to cut off the top and the bottom of the beer packaging, and then you'll be left with a square that looks like this. And you can either leave them as is or you can cut them down to a smaller square, like I did. And when you're done cutting, you're going to need to take a ruler and measure each side. Mark a line down the center of each side, and then you'll need to repeat this process for each piece. Once you've marked all of them, you can now glue them together. And I'm using hot glue for mine, and you'll need to clamp them together until the glue dries. When you're done, you can remove the clamps, sand down the edges, and then you can apply some sort of finish if you'd like. And this is what the coasters look like once they're done. And they turned out really nice and they're very functional. And now for my third project, and that is to make some custom embroidered patches for your wall. And this is a really fun project, but it does take a little bit of time. For my first step, I took some cardboard and cut out some hexagons. And these don't need to be perfect, so you can just use scissors. Next up, you're going to need to take some embroidery floss and stick it into the cardboard cutout. And this will act as your stencil. Once you've done that, you can now punch a hole right next to the floss, and then repeat this process until you have all of your stencils cut out. For my next step, I took some scrap wood and glued the cardboard cutouts onto them. Then I clamped them and let them dry. After that dried, I took some sandpaper and sanded down the edges. And then I stained them the same color as the existing wood. While the stain was drying, I took some heavy bags and filled them with sawdust and then tied them closed. Then I went ahead and drilled a hole through the center of the scrap wood. I slipped the bags through the hole and hung them on some nails that I installed into the wall. And then I took the embroidery floss and started stitching. You can either freehand it or you can use a template. And for my design, I found this really cool geometric pattern online. And after a few hours of stitching, this is what it looks like. And I absolutely love how it turned out. And you can really make these your own by changing up the colors or even the pattern. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button. And as always, thanks for watching.